Okay, let's get started then. So today's masterclass, work smarter, not harder, the easy way to create a year's worth of content.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get started, I know if you've been watching the last couple days, you'll know about me and Nicole, but I wanted to share my own experience. You see, this time last year, I had reached social media marketing burnout. I was a social media manager for many brands, creating content for so many people, and I just ran out of energy for doing my own marketing. And I actually just took a total cold turkey break from social media for all of October and November, basically. I had been trying to get in the habit over the summer when they were really, really, really pushing video content on Instagram. I had been trying to show up live once a week and then repurpose those lives into blog posts and then publish that. But it was really overwhelming. And I realized that trying to keep up week by week was not sustainable. I had clients I needed to service, and trying to come up with new content every week, even if I had long form content on the back burner ready to be repurposed, it wasn't happening. So that's when I chatted to my darling, lovely business bestie, Nicole. And we were talking about how can we make this easier? And we decided the key thing you need right away is long form content, because long form content can be repurposed.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought, well, we could make our lives easier if we just created that long form content together and then repurposed it to our own platforms. And we started talking about going on Instagram Live, but of course the downside of that is the recording is stuck on Instagram. So we thought, well, we'll use something else like StreamYard, and we'll pre-record it and then upload it to Instagram. And then we thought, well, if we're going to be recording videos, those may as well go on YouTube, because YouTube is one of the biggest search engines out there. So it just makes sense, if you're creating video content, to also put it on the main video search engine.
Mm-hmm.
And then we thought, well, if we're creating video, we may as well create a podcast, because it's just one extra step. Once the video is ready to go, you just need to strip the audio off and make a podcast. And that's how Showing Up Solo was born. And then what we do, because you may not know this, but we live in different provinces. We have to get on a plane if we want to see each other in person. So actually, the first time I got to meet Nicole in person was December last year, when she came to visit me, and we recorded 6 months worth of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
We recorded a whole bunch of reels. We got some photos taken together, and then that became the content for the first half of 2022. We published the videos. We created audiograms for the podcast. We created stationary graphics with captions to promote both the podcast and the videos, Pinterest pins to promote both of them, and it also sparked more reels that pulled out tips and everything. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing this now for a year, and I don't know, Nicole, you let me know, but I have found it's made marketing so much easier. I don't have to come up with new content ideas, because I know we already have this backlog of great content ready to share.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you.
Yeah. And so that's what we're really excited to share with you today. We're really excited to share this method, this process. And it's a method and process that we're sharing with a lot of our existing marketing clients as well. So we're doing this not only in our business, but in other people's businesses as well. And it's working. And that's why we're so excited to share it with you today.
Well, and even, sorry, I want to elaborate just a little bit on your story, Hannah. it wasn't even just like us trying to find a better way for us to do our marketing, but we were also hearing from our own clients that they were feeling overwhelmed and they were like, feeling a little social media burnout. So it wasn't even like we were going through it with them. And so it was like we were the guinea pigs to testing it out and seeing like this is really working. And we, offered it to our clients, and the results are what makes sense.
Yeah. It's funny actually that a lot of people were a little resistant at first because the thought of batching content seems really overwhelming. Creating a whole bunch of content in one go. It seems like, oh, that's just so much work. I barely have enough energy to create this week's content, let alone months worth of content. But you'll find it's so much easier if you just set aside a couple days, because you're already in the zone. You keep coming up with more, right, Nicole?
Yeah, I would agree with that, because when we were living on that day-to-day building content kind of mindset, you're like constantly talking yourself into like, oh, okay, I got to make a post. And then it takes like forever to create the post. And whereas when you're already in the zone, you're already batching all this content, your brain is like, it works a lot easier and more efficiently. And then you're creative. Once you're in that creative zone, you're just flying at it, right? So
yeah,
it's a lot.
Because you come up with one thing and then you're like, oh, well, that leads into that. And then that leads into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a chain effect.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So, Nicole, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Yeah. So, one sec. I just see a notification. So I want.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Libby. Hi, Rachel.
So what is evergreen content? So it's content that is always true or relevant. It's not seasonal. So it's not dated. It's not related to a holiday, and can be used or shared, published at any time and repurposed. So examples of evergreen content would be like anything about you, your services or packages, your ideal client's problems or pain points, jargon that you're trying to translate, testimonials of like previous clients that you've worked with. That's always going to remain the same, because people aren't going to change their experience with you once they've written a testimonial. Lead magnet promo, tips and how-tos, frequently asked questions, case studies, resource lists, and even like common mistakes that you might see in the industry. So why do you want to build an evergreen bank? Okay, so when you use keywords in creating your evergreen bank, you're actually improving your SEO, so your search engine optimization. The more, the higher chances of people finding you online because of those keywords, the likelihood you're attracting your ideal client. It also decreases your workload by having content already created. It's building your brand awareness. You're dispelling myths or even assumptions that people could possibly have. You're establishing yourself as an expert in your field and industry. And like, what's really important is you're building trust with your target audience. So we went over this on day one of the challenge, but I think it's really important in terms of building your year's worth of content is knowing who your ICA is, so your ideal client avatar, and knowing what their pain points are, and knowing where to find this information. So I talked about using search engines like Google and social media, so Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and you want to be using hashtags. So maybe using specific hashtags to who your ideal client is, maybe even location specific as well. Facebook groups. So join Facebook groups that are specific to where your ideal client would be looking or searching for information. So, for example, I put in one group that I'm in is like Alberta woman entrepreneurs. So that is location specific to the province I live in, or female coaches community. There might be like therapists Facebook groups. There's Facebook groups for everything. There's even Facebook groups for like ferrets. So whatever your industry is or your ideal client is, look for where you think they would be in and engage in the conversations that they're having. Try and identify trends. You don't need to be like answering questions or promoting yourself all the time, but try and get to know the people that are in there, and you might actually get to know more about who your ideal client is. So questionnaires, I really enjoy questionnaires because not only do you get a lot of information from your intake, but also your testimonials. So the people that you've worked with, and what was their experience or what was their life like before they started working with you? What kind of fears did they have about working with you? And what was their journey like? What was the end result from working with you? So you get a lot of information from that. As
and
well.
Actually,
yeah.
Nicole, I'm going to just interject here because I think you and I had a conversation this morning about there's an intake questionnaire when you join this challenge group.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were expressing that their challenge was they wanted to grow their social media. And I feel like that's a case of the client not really knowing the real problem, because it's like you don't need a huge audience to get consistent leads and consistent sales.
Yes.
You need the right audience. And so if you're creating content specifically for your ideal client, your audience, you will attract your ideal client into your audience.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you. So if you ever hear about people talk, or marketers or business owners, entrepreneurs talking about your dream client are the people that you've like targeted your marketing towards. They're like an absolute dream to work with. You love working with them. If you want to attract more people like them, you know everything about them. And that's where you're going to be creating content, is trying to attract more people like them. So,
and the goal is to be it's better to be in a room with 10 people who fit the profile of your ideal client or your dream client than it is to be in a room with 1,000 people who are just a random assortment.
Yeah.
You're more likely to get heard and make a sale in that room of 10 people than you are in that room of 1,000 people.
100%. Thank you for saying that, Hannah. That's amazing. So the last one that we actually went over with on day one was answer the public. So this is a really great tool for using keywords to search common questions that people search on the net. So you can put any keyword and it literally gives you like 8 to 10 different questions that people commonly, or like the how, the why, and then it looks at comparisons and then your prepositions as well. So if you're looking for like help in creating maybe like a title to a post or a blog, Answer the Public is a great tool for that.
So now that you have your content ideas, and what Nicole just went over is basically how to come up with ideas for your evergreen content that isn't your about you or your services. It's the ones that are addressing your clients' concerns, pain points, giving them the information they need to know that they want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've done that research, then you can go ahead and create 12 pieces of long form content. In theory, 1 per month. So highly, highly encourage videos because they are unavoidable. If you're going to market yourself online now, videos are the way to go. So just get 12 questions that you want to answer, jot them down, maybe jot down 3 or 5 key points that you want to cover in your video, and set aside a day to just sit down and record 12 videos where you're explaining, where you're answering those questions.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend getting a buddy along, like I have with Nicole, because having a conversation, as you just saw when we were presenting just now, you help each other remember and just give more value by having two people as part of the conversation. So find someone who complements what you're doing. Nicole and I work together a lot. So even though we offer the same services to clients, we tend to work together. So it's okay. We're not really competition with each other. But you could, if you don't have that kind of a relationship with someone, you could also find someone who has the same ideal client as you, but offers different services.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, we do a lot of marketing, but we don't produce podcasts ourselves. We have a lovely podcast manager who happens to be in the challenge. Hi, Rachel. So she would be a great person to collaborate with, because if we found a client who wanted help with a podcast, we could provide the marketing and she could provide the podcast management. So she would be another great collaborator for recording these videos. So consider finding a buddy to come on with you as well. But with or without a buddy, just sit down and record 12, 10, maybe 15-minute long videos. I wouldn't make it longer than 20 because people aren't going to watch that long. But just answer those 12 questions. And now you have 12 months worth of long form content. Then you take that content, you strip the audio from the videos, and you can publish that as a podcast, releasing one episode a month. And you can take the transcription, if you use our favorite tool, otter.ai, you can take that transcription and convert that into a blog post. Now you have 36 pieces of content. So if you're thinking about a month, right? There's typically 4 weeks in a month. So you could publish the video one week, the podcast the next, and the blog the following week. And you could do it for the same topics, or you could shuffle them up, mix it up so that it's the same basic question that you're answering, but you're kind of mixing it up when the video version and when the podcast version, when the blog version comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So already I've did a little goal here. Imagining you wanted to post 4 times a week for 52 weeks. So far we're at 36 posts that you can make to promote the long form content, right? Even if it's just publishing the video, publishing an audiogram of the podcast episode, or publishing a little stationary post saying like, hey, read this new blog post. But that's 36 pieces of content. And this long form content, if you've used what Nicole just suggested, the methods to figure out what questions your clients are asking, this will become part of your evergreen content as well, because these questions aren't going to go away. I'll use the example of what is a lead magnet, because that comes up all the time for Nicole and I. We don't answer it once and then it goes away. People are always asking, what is a lead magnet? Because there's always new people looking to find out what that is. So our what is a lead magnet content is going to be relevant for a long, long time, unless there's any major, well, it's not going to change for a lead magnet. If, for example, we had a post on how to use Instagram effectively, that might need updating because Instagram changes regularly. But the core concepts aren't going to change.
Maybe like, what is Instagram?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then step 2 is you repurpose this long form content. So this is what I talked about yesterday in the day 2 training, and gave some ideas of how you can convert this long form content into multiple pieces. Bare minimum, what I suggest you do is for every blog post, podcast episode, and YouTube episode, you create 3 static posts. So that what that is if it's on something like LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, it's just some text saying, hey, this is what I've written. Check it out. Here's like a key point that I cover in it. and sharing the link. Or if it's something like Instagram, you do a nice little graphic, like a, just an image with maybe the title and a picture, and then it's the same sort of text. And then you also create 3 reels or video posts. So by this, I mean either like the vertical view image that people tend to associate with TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, where it's you could just do the fun kind of like pointing with music, highlighting some of the key points. Or you can do a 15-second tip or takeaway, which is one of my favorites. It's not going to go viral, but it is going to help your ideal client and build your authority. Or you can, if you don't want to show up on video, although please do, you can create an audiogram by designing a graphic that you then pop into Headliner, put a clip of audio over it, and now you have a piece of video content.
Mm-hmm.
So if for those 36 posts we have, so those 12 months worth of content, 12 months worth of videos that we've also converted into blogs and into podcast episodes, now for each of those, we create another 6 pieces of content. Now you have 216 pieces of content, and our goal was 208. So that's a year's worth of content. That's posting 4 times a week. And that's a year's worth of content already done for you. And that isn't even adding in your evergreen content. So your other evergreen content, which is the about you, your services and packages. So like your story and why you're the authority, why you're the right person for someone to work with, that's not going to change. It might expand, you might add to it, but the key information is going to stay the same. Mm-hmm. Your services, okay, they may pivot and change, but for the most part, they're going to be pretty consistent. We've talked about how your ideal clients' pain points and problems, jargon you need to translate, tips and how-tos, FAQs, all that's going to be part of those blog posts that you've written, and you'll add to that too. You're going to want to continually promote your lead magnet, which for those who aren't familiar with that term, it's a free resource that you give to people in exchange for their email address so that you can get them on your email marketing list and market to them in a more targeted way. So yeah, suddenly once you add in all that personal content, all that extra content about you and your business and who your ideal client is and testimonials, now you have even more content. You have more than a year's worth of content. And this is how we recommend that you use your content bank now that you've built it. Evergreen content should make up about 75% of what you post, and then seasonal content should make up about 25%. So this is just an example of what a content calendar could look like. And so I like to think of them as themes, right? So my first post of every week is this evergreen or background content. So it's content that's telling the audience about who you are, providing a testimonial, describing the services you offer, maybe sharing a case study. This is your know factor. If you've heard of like, know, trust, before someone wants to buy from you, they need to like, know, and trust you. So these posts are all about getting to know you. Post 2 is where you pop in your repurpose long form content. So you cover a pain point or share a tip or answer a frequently asked question. This is building the trust. It's showing that you are an expert and an authority on the subject. So for me, I would be addressing common pain points people have with marketing and sharing tips on how to use Canva or Instagram, answering questions like, what the heck is a lead magnet? All of this to show people that I know what I'm talking about. And then post 3 is your promotional post. This is where you're trying to drive a further action. So I've said lead magnet, lead magnet, lead magnet, lead magnet. You want to get people from your social media audience onto your email marketing list, because only about 4 to 7% of your audience will actually see your social media content, and they're kind of like they might have found you through the algorithm recommending you. Your email list, people have to opt in. It's a voluntary action, and they have said, yes, I want to hear from you. Send me more info. They're a way more engaged audience. Industry standard for email open rates is about 20 to 30%, which doesn't seem super large until you compare it to what you're getting on social media. And of course, don't forget that audience, the email marketing audience, has already pre-qualified themselves as someone who's interested. So
There's
promote the lead magnet.
one thing I want to touch on too, that we've talked more about creating videos and blog content that translates into more social media content. But all of that also can be used for newsletters, which is just like
Yes.
another touch point, which you were saying, when people exchange their email for your free resource, then you can also share that information again in your newsletters, which is like another few more pieces.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with sharing the same content that you're sharing on social media in your newsletter. Maybe your newsletter subscribers get it first. And if you're worried, well, what if they see it in their inbox and then they see it on their Instagram? They're probably going to be appreciative of that, because chances are they didn't have time to read it in their inbox. But then they see it on their Instagram and like, oh yeah, I wanted to read this, or I wanted to watch this. So you're actually doing people a favor by putting it both in your newsletters and on your social media.
Mm-hmm.
So post 3, you don't have to just say, hey, download my lead magnet. You can use a combination of your Evergreen and Repurpose longform content to highlight why people should download the lead magnet. So maybe it's, do you hate or do you struggle with planning your content? Here's some tips. By the way, I have a free content planner. Download it using the link in my bio. So that's how you can like fit it in without it sounding super salesy.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not forget, marketing, your goal is to get clients. So it's okay to sell to them.
Yeah.
And then the final is the extra. This is for building that like factor. This is where you share your cup of coffee, your cute little latte with the latte art, or your cute pictures of your dogs or your kids, or just like your behind the scenes struggles. This is the part where people get to know you as a person and develop a like for you. So you can share your sense of humor. You can share inspirational content. You can do those funny trending reels. That's where that content comes in. And the reason we have it as extra is get these core pieces planned and in place. Then the pressure's off. You can create the extra fun stuff. You can do what Nicole and I do and batch a bunch of it. We just record a bunch of trending reels and then we just save them until we have a great idea for using them, and then we use it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can still batch a lot of this content, even if you don't know exactly how it's going to look in the end.
And one little insider tip that I just want to share is that you don't necessarily have to just save it in your Instagram for a draft that you only use once, because let's be honest, reels can be reused for so many different topics. If you have like the creativity for like, oh my God, this would work really well for this topic. If it's saved onto your phone, use it again. I mean, if you're sharing great information or humor or content or something that builds that trust factor, then repurpose it.
If you've been watching mine and Nicole's content for the last few weeks, you'll see that we used the same dance video, I think 3 times with different music overlaid. It was just funny and cute. And no one said, hey, this is the same video you posted 2 days ago, but with a different soundtrack over it. No, everyone was like, lol, this is so funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you can, if you record it in your Instagram app, there's a little download button before you go to like add captions and stuff. Save it to your phone, or even just record some neutral background content of you on your phone. Just like get someone to record you dancing or pointing or even just walking
Yeah.
or making a cup of tea, like that you can overlay content. It doesn't have to be made in the moment to match this trending sound. There's lots of ways to batch that kind of content. So over to you, Nicole.
So our favorite tools, you've heard us talk about, you know, tools that we use, StreamYard. We're streaming right now on StreamYard. So obviously you can tell how much we love it, but you can also add like your branding information. So you see like our logo in the top. It can add our names. So you can even do like an intro and outro to it. So it can make just a little more professional touch to your stream or to your video that you might be looking for. For podcasting, we recommend Anchor because you can record, edit, and host. So when you distribute your podcast in one place, Headliner is great for making audiograms. So if you ever see like the posts with, there's like the audio of the podcast and there's like the little lines that you can add with the graphics. You can cut little clips from your podcast or your show, your YouTube, and just make little clips like that. Like Hannah was saying, if you don't want to show up online all the time, then that's another great way to at least show clips of your content. Otter is great. I love Otter. I use it all the time. So you can upload some kind of audio file or video file and it transcribes it for you. So I can't even tell you how many times I've used it for everything. You can go through and use it for your blog. You can use it for posts. If you're creating yourself little templates, it's cutting that much time off of your workload because you're finding the information you need and you're just inputting it into where it needs to go.
Oh, and bonus point, sorry to interject, but
yeah,
social media marketing, email marketing works better when you write like you speak. And a lot of people don't do that. You know, when people write, they start to go, as per my last, or regarding this.
Like a textbook.
Exactly, like a textbook. So the really great thing about using a transcription of you speaking is it's already formatted in a way that sounds like someone talking. So your marketing copy will already sound so much better if you're using a transcription of you talking versus writing from scratch.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up because people connect a lot more when they feel like they can picture someone's voice in their head rather than they're like reading something that feels really dry and not personal. So thanks for bringing that up, Hannah. Other ones we use is Meet Edgar, which is my favorite scheduling app now because not only can you put in, you can schedule on different platforms, but it jumbles everything out. So depending on the date, you can have it come out different times of the year, and then it just kind of it shelves things for when you want to update your caption or graphic. But it's great and it's easy, free, user friendly to use. So I would definitely check out Meet Edgar. Loom is great for when you're making a recording. So I've used Loom a few times if I'm making like a how-to, and then but like I like to stutter a lot. So sometimes I'll try and just kind of edit out my stutter, or if there's like things at the front or the beginning, you can just cut it out and it's super easy to use. You can share it with people. You just send them the video or a link. So Loom, I love. Canva is a must. Canva, like if you start, it's like the first thing you purchase your subscription. So I love that Canva is so easy friend, like it's user friendly. And
it's always updating its features too. They get better and better.
Yeah, and you can find so many YouTube videos on tips and tricks because people love Canva. We went over Answer the Public, which is a great tool for searching keywords and common questions people are looking or searching. And then just use the most common search engines. So Google, YouTube,